Caution! Running a power cleaning consumes a lot of ink, so you should run it only if necessary. Make sure each ink tank is at least 1/3 full before running a power cleaning, or it may damage the product. What? When an ink pad reaches the end of its service life, the product stops printing, and you must contact Epson for support. What? Guys, this is straight out of the Epson Owner Manual Guide, and it's true. Power cleanings are a last resort. You may be surprised to learn, but I never ever do a power cleaning on my printers. And especially if you have the 2720, you are going to be shortening the lifespan if you just continue to do power cleanings. If something happens and your ink is clogged, or one of your colors is not working, I'm going to show you what to do instead. If that sounds like something that you're interested in learning, I will see you after the press. It is true. I have never done a power cleaning on any of my sublimation printers. Let's talk about power cleaning for a second and exactly what we are asking our printer to do when we click perform power cleaning. When we tell our printer to perform a power cleaning, essentially what we are saying is all 4 colors, we're going to turn the spigot completely on. Now, we're not really printing anything, so we don't have to load paper. Nothing comes out on paper. So all of that ink that's going to go through the lines is going to get flushed into your maintenance box. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. I have the camera set up. We're going to take a look at that on 2 different printers in just a second. Is it a big deal that it fills up the maintenance tanks? Well, yes, it kind of is, especially if we have the 2720, because the 2720 maintenance tank cannot be swapped out. Yes, there are things you can do, and you can buy third-party chips and soak the pads in alcohol and make them all clean and everything, but it's not going to be back up in business for a couple of days if you fill your maintenance tank. But one of the reasons I never perform a power cleaning is because I very rarely have a problem with every single color. Why would I open the faucet on all 4 colors if I'm just having a problem with one? Maybe one is just a little bit spotty, but all 4 of them, very uncommon for that to happen. But even if that is what's happening, I'm still going to show you an alternate way before you would do a power cleaning. Let's take a look at the back of 2 different models that I have set up here. I have my 2720 and the 3750. So let's take a look at the 3750 first. Has a nice removable interchangeable part. Here's what this part looks like. This one is new, and it has an ink pad in there that isn't even used. And what's important there, the part numbers will be right there on a sticker, so it's very easy to understand how to replace. In fact, on the Epson website, now you can also get these on Amazon. They are usually $5 or $10 more, but if Epson.com happens to be out of them, then at least you have an option to get it, right? So here is what a clean ink pad looks like. And imagine if you did a power cleaning and 1/3 of each bottle of black, magenta, yellow, and cyan. Imagine if 1/3 of each of those bottles had to come inside this tank during a power cleaning. You are going to saturate these pads in no time, and you're going to get that error message. But at least with this model, you can swap out the box and you're good to go. You can continue on with all of your sublimation orders. Here is a quick tip. If you go to the Epson.com website, you can usually get your maintenance box refill for just under $10, and they do also ship free as long as you select ground shipping. So you can have this box ready and waiting for when you get that error message. Scroll down here, it'll tell you all of the models that this particular maintenance box fits. click the show more, and you'll see all of the Epson printers that this maintenance box will fit into. If they're out of stock and you really need a maintenance box, you can head on over to Amazon. They do sell them. They are a little bit more, and they're not real Epson. They are third-party makers, but they do work. Now, one thing I do want to point out here, like for instance, in this listing, this seller is saying that it works in the EcoTank 2700, 2750, and that is absolutely not true. The 2700 series does not have a replaceable maintenance box. When it comes to the 2720, and we took the case off here, now the 2720 has a box that you cannot replace. This part is not able to be purchased. So there's a little Phillips head screw down there, and I just took that out. And to access this, kind of take it and give it a good pull. Sometimes it feels like it's not going to come out, but it is going to come out. And that's what mine looks like after a long, long time of use. I do not do power cleanings, and that's just the amount of ink that happens naturally, like that the printer just, spits out because it doesn't put it on paper. Now imagine doing a power cleaning in this little guy here, and you're going to use a third of the tank of each color. You're going to fill this up in no time, and you're going to get the error message that you cannot use your printer anymore. Now let me bring this back to the desk, and we'll talk about the 2720 maintenance pad. All right, so here is the 2720 maintenance pad, and as you can see on this little guy, there is no chip. It really is too bad that Epson didn't just make another chip replaceable part here, but they did not. And this is what you're going to find in all of the 2700 models, and you're also going to find it in the 4700. Also has this type of box, and there is no chip. Now that doesn't mean all is lost. When you get the error message in the 2720 or the 4700 that this is full, you're going to be prompted to call Epson. So Epson very likely one time will walk you through resetting the software because there is no chip. So they give you a new code, and then you can use this for a little while longer. But honestly, if it's like jam-packed full of ink because of too many power cleanings, even though you can use it, like you might find that like ink is just pouring out of the back of your printer. I mean, I guess it's good for like an emergency order or something like that, but you're certainly not going to want ink all over the place. Once Epson will no longer provide you a code, you can buy them third party. They're usually about $10, $15, $20, and you will change that code inside your software. It's not the easiest thing in the world if you've never done it before, but usually they are very good about giving you instructions. So that's what's going to happen when you get the error messages. Now, all that aside, the entire goal of this video is to help you understand that you do not have to do power cleanings. And like we saw in the intro of this video, Epson recommends it as like a last resort. You really shouldn't be doing it if you don't have to. I have never, ever done a power cleaning and never had to, and I've always been able to resolve clogged ink with the method we're about to talk about next. You may instinctively know what color is not printing based on the design that is not printing. Like you may automatically know, oh, my blue is not printing. But if you don't know, you're just going to go into your printer. Here I am in my 2720. You're going to come over to the maintenance tab here and you print a nozzle check. All right, you're going to click on nozzle check and OK. Make sure you have paper loaded in your printer. And for this, of course, you can just use copy paper. Don't waste your sublimation paper for this. Once you have your nozzle check printed, of course, you can see what is broken or what is just not on the piece of paper. Let's just say blue is not printing. So something is wrong with cyan. What I always do is I will print a purge file just in cyan. As long as that's the only color that's impacted, I'm just going to print cyan. Let's just say I have two that aren't working. Then I will print both just cyan and just yellow. I put black and magenta out on that same piece of paper if my only problem is with blue, or my only problem is with blue and yellow. All right, so let's take a look at what a purge file really is. Guys, so I am in Microsoft Word, and here is what a purge file looks like. It is just strips of the colors. We have the cyan, we have the yellow, we have the magenta, and we have the black. So we are just going to print and try to get our ink working by just printing the colors that aren't working. But I'm going to teach you how to create your own purge file right now. It is super, super easy, and here's how you do it. These are the hex code for the actual colors of sublimation ink. So cyan here, this is its hex code, 00FFFF. The yellow is FFFF00, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. In case you're not used to working with hex codes, it's actually very easy. So for instance here, let's just take the magenta as an example. I'm going to highlight it, and now we have the shape highlighted, and I'm going to go into the shape fill, and we're going to go look at its color number. And I do that by going into more colors. Usually you get defaulted to the standard tab, and I'm going to go over to the custom tab, and you can see the hex code for magenta is FF00FF. And that is the color we want. Now these values do mean something, so this is the exact hex code that you want in this box. If you have anything other, for instance, let's just say I go up and down the scale, it's going to change the hex code. And we really don't want that. We just want the regular hex code for magenta. So you can go back in here. I'll type the FF00FF, and we'll click OK. And there we have it. If we were having a problem with our magenta is not printing, we can just create a purge file using the magenta color, which is FF00FF. And then we'll just go into the yellow as another example. Again, I highlight this little rectangle strip. I go into shape format, shape fill, and I'm going to go into more colors because I want to see the color. Go on over to the custom tab, and I can see that this color is FFFF00. If I went up and down the scale a little bit, that made it dark. It changes the hex color. It adds a little bit of black in there. We don't want to do that. We just want the color FFFF00. Click OK. And there we have it. Now the same is going to go for the cyan and the black. With that information, we can create just a purge file based on the color that is not working. All right, so a purge file means we're actually going to print. For instance, I'm in Microsoft, and I'm going to print this piece of paper, and that means all of the ink is going to come out on the paper, and it's not going to just be flushed right into my maintenance tank. I'm actually printing, and it's going to go onto the paper. So let's just say, for instance, our magenta is not working. I can go into like a blank document, and since I know it's just one color that's a problem, I can go in and I can insert a shape. I'll pick the rectangle here, and I'll just make it big. I can fill up the whole page or just make it a thick rectangle. I'm going to go up to shape fill, and I'm going to go into the more colors, and I'm going to go into custom, and I'm going to come down here in the hex box, and we remember it's FF00FF. Click OK. And here I have just the magenta. It's not going to mix with any other colors. I'll actually even like get rid of that outline and just create no outline. And that is just, I'm just going to send that to my printer as many times as I need to in order to get magenta to start flowing. All right, and if it was blue, and go up into my shape fill, and here we have our cyan. So if I was just having a problem with cyan, I'm just going to print this whole dense square. What will happen is nothing will happen. It'll be printing white, 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 and then eventually it'll probably start being a little bit blue, and it won't take long. All of a sudden, you have freed up the cyan and the ink is flowing without dumping 1/3 of all of the bottles inside of your little ink pad maintenance box. And that is a purge file. Now, if it were 2 colors, you would simply just say, let's just say your cyan. I'm just going to create 2 here, make them wide. Let's just say it was 2 colors that weren't working, right? So you can put 2 colors side by side instead of all 4 colors. Let's change this color. Let's just say it's your black. We'll go into more colors, go into the custom. Black hex code is all zeros, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And it's always 6 digits, always 6. Click OK. And now we have a purge file that is going to loosen up our cyan and our black. Instead of purging all 4 colors by doing a power cleaning that is going to fill up our waste tank prematurely. If you guys would like access to this purge file here that has the actual hex code numbers on it, I will put a link in the description. It will be a free download on our Quixby.com website. So whichever one it is, you don't want to fill these prematurely. And one way to be sure that you don't fill them prematurely is stop doing power cleanings. I don't even do head cleanings. I don't do power cleanings. When something is not working on my printer, I just print that color. I gave you the hex codes, and now you can do that too. If this video has helped you in any way, please turn that like button blue for us, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in our next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.